Just one win in 7 in the league, and that win being against the likes of Southampton. Losing 4 of the last 5, with more losses this season than wins, and they are in the bottom half of the table. They are 9 points adrift from Champions League spots. Yes, there have been injuries, Gary, but is Ange Postecoglou starting to be under pressure?
Well, he didn't sound like he's under pressure there, in actual fact, and that's probably one of his better interviews in recent times, where he had a bit more of a smile on his face and he had his chin up and was, yeah, I thought quite positive. I think the truth is, yes, in this game today, and by that I mean the world of football, if you lose a few games, if you are below the level that you are expected to be at, then yeah, you come under pressure, and there is no doubt about that. You know, Ange Postecoglou is, in my opinion, starting to come under pressure. How do you define pressure? Well, you know, I guess it's quite a personal thing for different people. But make no mistake about it, if Spurs don't win this game today, the Spurs faithful will certainly vent their feelings, and it can be quite a hostile place there. So
what do you think, Carlton? That today's match could be quite pivotal as well?
It's very difficult being a manager these days. I mean, you win 3 games, everybody's blowing your trumpet. I mean, it's like Wolves now. Everybody's thinking the tide's turned and they've won 2 games. There's always an uplift when a new manager comes into a football club. There's always that. So it's when things settle down. When Van Nistelrooy went in, everybody's going, yeah, brilliant, they've got rid of Steve Cooper. Now the reality is set in that they're not as good as what everybody was thinking they are when Van Nistelrooy's coming in. So, of course, Ange has decided to go down a route. He wants to play attacking football. Me, as a neutral, I like it, but he's got to learn, or you know, it's not for me to tell him how to learn, but he's got to close games out. If he's 2-0 up, he's got to close games out. If he's lost 3 players, he can't still be trying to play attacking football. And
I think that's the frustrating bit about what's happening with Spurs at the moment, because he's not adjusting, he's not controlling games, he's just all or nothing sort of approach constantly. Yeah,
but then, you know, he's got to find that balance, but also you have to look at the injuries that he's had this season. You know, again, Romerio's missing, Van der Ven's missing, you miss key players, it's a major problem. But you also have to look at the bigger picture, which I think both himself and Daniel Levy are looking at. When they brought in players, they've looked at bringing in young players. Archie Gray, Johnson, these are young players. Spence, young players that they're looking to the future of the football club. With that, you're going to have an inconsistency. You are. So, if Tottenham at the end of the season, OK, you know, finish 6th or 7th and can put a trophy on the board and those players are developed, then it's a good season for Ange. But I think this game is important to Spurs today. Just the fact that, you know, the tide's turning a little bit with the supporters, and if they can win this game against Wolves today, everybody will pipe down until the new year.
Why is there not a thinking when you haven't got your first choice goalkeeper, you haven't got that 2 centre-backs? Why is there not a thinking that, OK, let's manage this based on what we have, based on what players we have? It's still everyone do the same thing, everyone play the same way.
Well, maybe Ange Postecoglou believes that his second choice goalkeeper is good enough, and his 2 second choice central defenders who are starting tonight are good enough.
I don't think he trusts Raju Dragusin that much.
I don't know the answer to that, but for me it's about balance, and you need, football is about, we have the ball, we're trying to attack, we're trying to score goals. We don't have the ball, we have to defend, we have to deny the opposition, and I just think that balance is out of kilter with Spurs at the moment. And it looks, from my perspective, as if Spurs don't spend enough time or don't have enough focus on the defensive side of the game, and you're at your most vulnerable quite often when you're attacking. So when Spurs have the ball and they're flooding forward, it looks wonderful, but what if? If we lose it now, are we still reasonably sound and strong? If we lose it now, Carlton, are we able to defend and deny the opposition? So for me, it's just a balance.
That's as simple as it is. I mean, they're only 1 goal behind Liverpool in terms of goals scored. So they've got that part of the game right. But they've lost 9 games, only draw 2. So they've got to, like Gary said, it's just getting that balance. But also, you've got to trust the process as well. These are young players that he's got there, that he's trying to develop.
So how do you strike that balance between, OK, let's adapt because we're not having any results, versus I got to trust the system, I got to trust these kids?
Yeah, but Michelle, what you've got to look at is the league's not won, the league's not finished, the cups aren't decided yet. In the full course of time, we'll be able to judge that. Unfortunately, when we're analysing situations, we're talking, about 3 or 4 games. When you're trying to do something, when you're trying to change something, when you look at Amorim now at Manchester United, it's a big job. So you can't just judge him on what's going on now. You've got to give him a period of time, and the same is for Ange now. They've gone down a certain route. That's got to have been discussed with Levy, with the young players they've brought into the football club. It's got to have been discussed. Do
you think Levy will give him time? Because Mourinho got sacked days before cup final.
I think Mourinho got sacked for different reasons. I don't think it was on a footballing basis. I think with Daniel Levy, they've obviously sat down with Ange when they brought him in, because that's his style of play. That's the way he's always played. OK, when you're at Celtic, you can get away with it. You're not going to get away with it in the Premier League. But if you've gone down the route with taking the young players that you have taken, then it's going to take them a bit of time. As Gary said, it's about finding that balance between scoring goals, conceding goals, going 2-0 up. If you go 2-0 up in a game, you've got to manage that. That's also about having players taking responsibility, like saying, Romario or Van der Ven, your senior players saying, whoa, hang on a minute, we're 2-0 up, let's just see this out for 5 minutes or so.
Is that not a bit of naivety, then, not being able to manage the games? Like Carlton said, you might be able to do it in Australia, you might be able to do it in Japan, you might be able to do it in Scotland, but in the Premier League, you are in the best league in the world.
Well, maybe a little bit of naivety, maybe a little bit of just, people just thinking forwardly rather than thinking defensively. A lot of these players are naturally wanting to go forward. So yeah, it can be a bit of both. Everybody wants to go forward and try and score goals, and when you're on the ball and the ball's popping around, everything's lovely, and you're scoring goals, everybody wants a piece of it. And sometimes you can forget what's going on behind you and around you. And as far as Ange being under pressure, I don't. As far as I can remember, Gary, I don't think Tottenham are really ever in a rush to sack people. They don't sack people.
No, I don't think they
willy-nilly, and they always give them a bit of a chance, don't they?
Yeah, I think there's a level of patience at Spurs. There has been historically, anyway.
Yeah.
But there's poor defending. I mean, when you see some of the clips that we've been watching, like the Forest game, they've had loads of chances in the Forest game, probably the better team, and the goal they give away was just, ranked back by defending by the left fullback.
He's just let him inside him, hasn't he?
He's just let him go inside of him.